welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California, and it is a joyous, happy day. We cannot wait to tell you about what's going on in the world of movies.
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
Do you really want to hurt me?
He's not gonna let
Conjure
this go.
Club. Do you really want to? Hey, it's raining, guys.
Also here, Mark Ellis.
I'm going to say, we could have made a rain joke. We could have talked about
Yeah.
how my green matches my green. Ashley's a big fan of this sweater, but nope. We went back to Conjure Club. You're a dead man, Schnepp.
I just love it. The first thing Ashley doesn't say, doesn't compliment Mark. It doesn't go, hey, that's a nice-looking sweater, or hey, no. The first thing was, that sweater would look great on me.
I wanted to know where he got it.
She said that.
That's kind of a compliment.
She said that.
It is a compliment. Hey, listen, guys, before we get started with all the regular news you see, this one, you see all here in the sidebar, a little other something came up. New poster actually just got dropped for the upcoming Disney film, The Jungle Book. This one featuring King Louie, which just, look, nobody has heard King Louie talk yet except for those of us who are at D23.
Yeah.
And he only said one line, voiced by Christopher Walken, and it is 5 seconds of video that if you're not sold on The Jungle Book already, it is 5 seconds of video that will completely sell you on this movie all by itself. I cannot wait for you guys to hear. They've got to put it in a trailer at some point, right?
I think they will. I think it'll probably be the next trailer. The movie comes out in April, so we don't have to wait that much longer to
Yeah.
actually see The Jungle Book. And this poster shows us all the animals of the kingdom, or at least more of the important ones that we're going to get to meet. I like seeing the snake in there. I obviously love seeing King Louie in there. So this one is a brighter poster. I think that's an important color. I'm usually not a big color guy, but like that first one was so dark and mysterious and like, oh, it's Mowgli and the panther. This one, it's brighter, it's happier. It's like, yeah, we're also going to have a lot of fun too.
And it's also interesting that you mentioned we're seeing these other characters. We're not seeing Baloo, we're not seeing Mowgli, we're not seeing Shere Khan. It's some of these other characters I think are going to really make this film special.
No, there's no singing. He's not going to do "I'm the King of the Jungle." He's not going to sing.
I
that,
honestly
right?
don't know.
You know,
Because I see that one monkey that looks like the like spider howler monkey that's doing that, you know, that one
it
dance.
looks like he's hitting a high C, like
I
in
wanna
the poster.
I want to see him sing that song.
But
hope
I
they
mean,
do.
I don't know that they're not going to do as many songs as they did in the animated version. I don't think, but
Or we don't know if they're going to do any.
you can hear Baloo, whistling the bare
Right.
necessities.
That was pretty subtle.
You got to think at some point Walken's going to bust into a song,
and
though.
dance
hope so.
because Walken's a
Whether he was
dancer.
instructed to or not, he
I
probably
know.
just did.
That would be awesome. All right, let's get on to the first amazing news story of the day.
All right. Well, love them or hate them, there's no denying the Transformers movies have been massive blockbuster successes, with the last film, Transformers Age of Extinction, making over $1.1 billion at the box office. Now, it is official. The director behind all the previous Transformers movies is coming back to direct the fifth installment of the franchise. In talking with Rolling Stone, Michael Bay confirmed he is indeed directing the next Transformers film, and also says this will be his final one. John, what are your thoughts on Michael Bay officially returning for Transformers 5? That good,
You
huh?
know, here's the thing. I am one of the rare Michael Bay defenders, actually. Michael Bay has made what I consider to be some pretty fun, pretty good movies, whether you're talking about, you know, Armageddon, or obviously I think his best film, The Rock, or I liked Pain and Gain very much. And I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what he does with 13 Hours. I think that is a movie that is right up his alley that he could really shine in. And I was one of the few guys when they first announced Michael Bay as directing the first Transformers, I was one of the few guys that was like, this is the right fit. This is the guy who should be directing Transformers. And I thought he did a great job on the first Transformers. I love the first Transformers movie. However, since the first Transformers movie, Michael has kind of got himself locked in. He sees the Transformers and the movies a certain way. And he goes in a certain direction with them that are terrible, that are just awful. Ever since he did the first one, which I thought was great, the direction he has chosen to go in with the Transformers is awful. And I hated hearing this news that he's coming back to do a fifth one, mostly because recently we've been hearing all this news about Transformers 5 that has gotten me excited. They hired this amazing writer's room that they promote a lot. And we've talked a lot about the show, where they got like Academy Award winning and some great up and coming writers from all different types of movie backgrounds all into the same room. And they brainstorm and they planned out Transformers and all this kind of stuff. And they did all this wonderful things. Saying we got this great new direction, blah, blah, blah. And you throw it all the F away by bringing back the same frickin' director who's going to do what he wants to do. He's going to make this movie the way he wants to make it. To hell with whatever the writer's room said and whatever they came up with. There's just no point in saying we're ushering this new great era for Transformers movies, this writer's room, we got this new vision. There's no point in doing any of that if you're just going to bring back the same guy who directed the previous 4 terrible films. Well, previous 3, I really like the first one. But the previous 3, the last one of which was the worst of the bunch, made a ton of money. Because, man, they know how to put out good trailers for these Transformers films. But what is the point in saying we're doing this new era and then bringing back the same director? And once again, that is not hate towards Michael Bay. I'm actually one of these guys who think he's, with the right film and all that kind of stuff, he is a good director. I enjoy a lot of his films, and I look forward to his other films. I do not want to see him in the Transformers universe anymore, though. I'm really bummed out that he's going to be directing 5. The one bright spot in this is that he says, yeah, this will be the last one, but I can't even get too excited about that because he said that twice before.
Yep.
That, oh yeah, I'm doing this one, it's my last one. Then he comes back and does the next. Yeah, this is my last one. Then he comes back and does another one. And I'm really bummed out. I'm really bummed out about this. Anyway, Schnepp, you heard about this. What do you think?
Man, I am so excited about this news. Can't wait to not see it. I don't think I'll see the Transformers 5. I mean, Transformers 4 almost melted my brain in its garbageness. It was so horrible. I mean, you know, we've already talked about that a lot, so I don't want to get back into Transformers 4. I actually kind of liked parts of 3, and I didn't like parts 1 and 2.
That's because it was in Chicago.
Yeah, you know, hey, I like seeing Chicago get blown up. Go sue me. I lived in Chicago for a while, guys. Anyway, it's not about me. It's about Michael Bay and his unwillingness to let go of the Transformers because they just keep throwing piles of money at him. And why not? Because he's made an incredibly successful franchise.
Yes, he has.
Transformers 4 made over $1 billion. You think that they're not going to get him? I mean, this is a business. It doesn't matter if the movie is garbage. If it's a horrible, unendurable dreck for anyone with a brain to sit through, it savages your brain. It makes you hurt when you see the film. It doesn't matter. It made over $1 billion, sold a lot of toys. I guess anybody who's a Transformers fan from the toys of the 80s or the cartoon, you're just going to have to rewatch those cartoons if you really dig that, because you're not going to see a different kind of Transformers movie that's not made by Michael Bay for easily another, I'd say, 10 years. I guarantee you he's going to direct Transformers 6. I swear it's my last one. I have to finish the Quadrille 6 trilogy. Whatever. I got to make a super box set of something.
I have to finish the sextuplet.
Yeah, I got to make an Optimus Prime head that fits all of them in a Digicube, and then he'll do the 7th one. It doesn't matter how many amazing writers they hire, because in Hollywood, writers are a dime a dozen. They get him, oh, this draft, throw it away. Take this draft, throw it away. Ideas are a dime a dozen, too. It's in the execution of the ideas. And you get someone who can execute ideas well, or you get someone like Michael Bay who just explodes things. I mean, I think, look, I like Pain and Gain. I liked a lot of his other films, too, but I cannot watch any of these Transformers films.
You know, I like to think of my Transformers toys in a box at home in Virginia, and they're in the closet somewhere, but when nobody's in my room, they come to life, a lot like Toy Story. And them hearing this news, they have to feel like Julia Roberts did in Sleeping with the Enemy, where it doesn't matter where you go, the stalker's gonna find you. And Michael Bay found your new address, Transformers. He heard you were shacking up all these new writers, and he knocked on the door, and he said, I'm back, and I'm directing your movie again. And the only reason I'm not getting as emotional as John did is because this is news that we kind of saw coming.
Oh, we did.
This
Yeah,
is
we
something
did, yeah.
that we felt lurking for a while. It got closer and closer. Michael Bay with Transformers is kind of like whatever creep has the disease and it follows. Like, it just keeps walking right behind you, and you're like, oh my God, it's not going away until it kills me, and it kills this franchise. That's what's gonna happen. And look, you're talking to a guy where at some point in the 90s, kid Mark Ellis was like, oh my God, I love The Rock, I love Armageddon, Bad Boys is awesome. Michael Bay might be my favorite director working today, and that has just all gone away in the 2000s, because I didn't like Pain and Gain. I thought it was a huge missed opportunity, as has been all of the Transformers films, where I could forgive the first Transformers. I had some fun watching it, but it just got progressively worse and worse and worse and more disappointing. And here's the kicker, is that we're all going to go see 13 Hours that he's directing and get excited to see it, and maybe we even like 13 Hours because it's based on a true story. He's locked into content in some capacity. He knows how to do some action well. We're going to see that. Then we're going to see the first trailer for Transformers 5 and be like, oh my God, he got it right this time.
I know.
He got it right. The writer's room came through. Let's kick some ass with Transformers. And then Schnepp and I are going to have to go to rehab for 2 weeks after seeing Transformers 5.
But the trailer was cool.
Yeah, this is the part where I've just become disgusted with myself because I know that you're right. That first trailer for Transformers 5 is going to come out, and I'm going to make the same stupid, idiotic mistake I made with Transformers 4 when that trailer came out. Say, you're right. You know what? I think they really got it this time. I think this one is going to be the one that turns the ship around, guys, because the trailer's awesome. And they're going to put out a great trailer, and I'm going to bite like the idiot that I am, hook, line, and sinker, and I'm going to go into the theater. And then remember, we all went to go see it all together, and we all came walking out at the same time and just stood in a circle in the foyer of the AMC Burbank 16 after we saw it, and we were like, what the hell?
We were doing a quick Phantom Menace tribute.
Yeah, it was just like, what the hell? But I mean, look, none of that changed the fact. See, I do believe 13 Hours. I actually have I have some actually pretty high expectations for 13 Hours.
I'm jazzed for it,
because
man.
Not only is this like up Michael Bay's wheelhouse, but the thing is, Michael Bay has a huge respect for the armed forces, like massive respect for. When he does anything involving armed forces, like he goes to the military itself. Says, "How should I shoot this?" Blah blah. Like he's got such a huge amount of respect, and I think he's going to bring a lot of reverence and respect to doing 13 Hours, where I don't feel he does that with Transformers. Again, this is not meant to be me or any of us like bashing on Michael Bay, because I believe Michael Bay can make really good, solid films. I really do. I just don't like where he has gone with Transformers, and I don't trust in his vision for Transformers.
Right.
And I don't want him back for Transformers. I'd rather see him do some more stuff.
I can't even call Transformers 4 a film. It was like a collection of bad scenes, like where we hop around the globe with a bunch of horrible, dumb robots. I mean,
And
that's
lots of
yeah. Yeah.
You see that stuff? We all get excited for like they showed us that. Oh my God, we're gonna see Grimlock.
Right.
Like instant freaking boner. We're gonna see Grimlock.
Dinobots.
But then what do they do? Like I said this before, like when all you have is action without dramatic purpose, it just becomes visual noise.
Right.
And so I'm waiting for them watching this movie, like, when do the freaking Dinobots show up? When does Grimlock? And then it's just, you know, Optimus Prime finding them at ship. Hey, you should come fight with me. And then he's riding Grimlock with his sword up. It's like, there was no
like
purpose.
3 minutes.
There was nothing to it. And so watching all that action became meaningless. And it's like,
The trailer's going to be cool, though. I can't wait for the Transformers 5 trailer.
Let's focus on the trailer. Let's focus on the release of the trailer and how excited we all are for
Giant
the trailer.
alien rising from
Transformers
the ocean.
Because you know,
Like
by the way,
robots
guys,
jumping.
I think a little bit later today, we're releasing a new video of our top 10 trailers of 2015. And you just know that I can't remember when the release date of this is supposed to be, but if the trailer comes out this year in 2016, as bad as the movie might be, you just know Transformers 5 trailers probably going to be on the best trailers of 2016.
Really
list.
good trailer. Horrible film.
All right, let's move on. What's
All right.
next?
This past weekend, a brand new trailer for the upcoming animated film Zootopia hit the web. From the largest elephant to the smallest shrew, the city of Zootopia is a mammal metropolis where various animals live and thrive. When Judy Hopps becomes the first rabbit to join the police force, she quickly learns how tough it is to enforce the law. Determined to prove herself, Judy jumps at the opportunity to solve a mysterious case. Unfortunately, that means working with Nick Wilde, voiced by Jason Bateman, a wily fox who makes her job even harder. Mark, what do you think of this new trailer for Zootopia?
Loved it. Knew I would love it. I've loved everything about this movie thus far. And 2016 is shaping up to be the year of talking animals. Between this and then you have the Jungle Book. And then I don't know if they're going to be speaking in pets or they're just going to be eating a lot of crap out of the fridge when their owners aren't home. But either way, I'm going to love animals even more than I already do in 2016. And seeing this trailer, I mean, we talk about getting to meet more of the characters, where I love that little teaser that they put up of the sloth at the DMV, which is a hilarious bit. But it didn't give us a full scope as to what this movie is actually going to be. Here we got to see more of this, where it actually is a community built entirely by animals with human sort of tones, but it's fitting for the animals easier than it would be if they were living in, say, New York City. I love that they take it, it's their own place, as opposed to like fitting it into like Chicago. You know, it makes more sense to me.
Schnepp?
Yeah, it took me a while for Zootopia to finally sink in, and this trailer it sank in. Like, why do the animals have to wear human clothes? That always bothers me. That it's tailored to be, like the rhino wearing a cop outfit that only a human would. It took a while for me to get over that. Like, why are they all wearing the same? How do they drive cars? Why is this happening? You know, like, why would they live in a building? It should be animal shaped or something. It didn't make sense to me. My brain just wouldn't work. And then finally, this trailer kind of locked it in for me. Like, see, the bunny's a cop and the cop's a cop, and they like, you know, do a little. So it was funny, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it is the year of the animal. He also for storks is another one. There's like an unbelievable amount of like talking animals. Like, you know,
With Frasier.
Yeah.
I can't remember what's Frasier's the actor's name.
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer doing the voice.
also
of
known
Storks.
as the Beast.
Yes,
right?
he was a good beast,
He was a
by
good
the way.
beast.
Sorry, I'm about to go off on another
I hope
tangent.
he comes back as the Beast in Zootopia. I don't know.
Zootopia.
No, but yeah, I thought the trailer was really fun.
Captain Beastie's on the police force. You know, I'm one of the guys that, despite the fact that you and Harloff came back from D23 really excited about
We were
Zootopia,
raving about it, yeah.
And I saw the first trailer, and I liked the sloth bit. The sloth bit was, I have not bought in at all to Zootopia. None of it has caught with me. Till this trailer. This trailer did it for me. I thought it was funny. I grinned and laughed almost the entire way through. Their Godfather bit, which is funny because I just introduced Anne to the Godfather over Christmas. She had never seen, actually it was Christmas night. We were all still up and awake at her family's place, and she's like, I've never seen Godfather. I'm like, right now we are correcting that. And we watch Godfather. And she's like, what? So that Godfather bit, even with, Dad, you said no business on my wedding. It's like, that was so good. But throughout the whole thing, the whole naturalist, the nudity thing about not wearing clothes was funny. This was a really charming, funny trailer. And I am now, make room, Ellis, I'm coming on that bandwagon with you. I'm now on the Zootopia bandwagon. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It's a Ford Fusion. We got plenty of room in the back.
All right, what's next?
As most of you know, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice is set to finally hit theaters on March 25th. However, there might be some unexpected competition that day. According to a report circulating online, Netflix may be looking to release Daredevil Season 2 on that exact same day. The validity of this report is questionable, but Schnepp, do you think that Daredevil Season 2 releasing on the same day as Batman vs. Superman would negatively affect the opening weekend of the new DC film?
Yeah, most definitely it'll destroy the box office. It's gonna just, I can't believe Batman v Superman, the biggest bomb of that. No, it's not gonna affect it at all. As in zero. I just think it's kind of like a fun, if it does happen to be that way and Netflix does do that, I think it's like more of like a gesture, like, oh yeah, you got, you know, you remember Daredevil, you know, Ben Affleck, remember Daredevil? Well, check this out. Bam, son, you're Batman, now here's some Daredevil to slap that on top, you know? I think that's all it is, because everyone is still planning on going to see Batman v Superman Friday or Saturday or Sunday. Everyone's planning on seeing it. I don't think that a binge watching of like 12 or 13 hours of Daredevil is going to affect that, especially for everyone who already has Netflix. If you have Netflix right now, you'll be able to see Daredevil whenever you want. Like me, it took me like an extra like 4 months to actually watch the last 5 episodes. I remember it was like, oh, I'll get to it. Oh God, when will I find the time? And then finally I was like, why did it take me that long? I could have just breezed through it. So you can easily breeze through it whenever you want. It's not going to affect the box office of Batman v Superman. I think more so it's just kind of like a fun little, oh yeah, check this out, like a little gauntlet getting thrown down. But it's not going to affect the box office.
I actually don't even believe the report. I don't believe that Netflix would actually release this on the same weekend. But if they did, let's go on the assumption for a second that the report is real and that it's true. If they did, I don't think it would be an issue of throwing the gauntlet down or anything. I think it would be, if they did it, I think it would be Netflix wanting to take advantage of all the superhero hype that's going around with Batman versus Superman hitting theaters. And hey, folks, we're putting Daredevil out too on TV. Right. Now, to the question of would it affect the box office if it did happen of Batman v Superman? No, it won't affect it. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to seeing Daredevil Season 2 almost as much as anybody, right? But I got Netflix. I know I can go see Batman vs. Superman and then come back anytime I want, when I'm laying in bed, when I'm having breakfast, when I'm, I don't know, polishing my shoes. I have no shoes to polish, but I can watch it anytime I want. I don't have to wait until I can go to the theater and buy a ticket to see Daredevil. I can watch it anytime I want. So when I have my tickets for opening night of Batman v Superman, you can bet your ass I'm going to be there opening night. I'm not going to feel like, oh no, I'm missing out on Daredevil. No, it's sitting on my Roku, just waiting for me to get home, and I'll go. And look, there are going to be some people that will say, hey man, no, I'm staying home watching Daredevil that night. That's fine, but I think it's going to be an incredibly slim minority for that. Anyway, Mark, how do you see this? How do you think it's going to play out?
I agree with you boys, and I agree with our production extraordinaire Jonathan, who violently made the point that you can do both in the same weekend if
Yes.
you really want to. Having said that, let's have some fun with this just for a second. So I think that Batman v Superman would be more affected than Daredevil would if they release them at the same time, simply because Thursday night, you wonder if it would affect Thursday night business. I don't think it's going to affect business by the weekend, because if you really want to see a movie opening weekend, there's enough time to go see it. But you might say, okay, both these things are coming out Thursday night. I think I'm going to stay home and watch Daredevil instead of go see Batman v Superman, and I'll see that this weekend. So it might slightly affect the Thursday night numbers. The bigger play in this, if this is true, which I'm not sure it is that it's Marvel, not saying we're trying to take money away from the DCU. We're not doing that, but we are trying to keep in everybody's head, even during DC's biggest weekend of their box office life, we want to remind everybody that Marvel is still the #1 player in the game, according to them. That might be the only reason you do it. You don't do this actually thinking that you're going to steal money away from them. But I will say there's no chance in hell that they open Daredevil 2 the same weekend they open Civil War. Like, they're not going to do that.
Right.
So if you have to do it during comic book hype, you would do it during Batman v Superman. That's why this play does make sense to me if it's true.
Yeah, it's just it's Marvel just flexing. It's like, we got how many TV shows we have? Saw, But DC also has like a ton of TV shows now too. They have 3 on right now. Like, it's 4: Supergirl, Gotham, Flash, Arrow, and
Legends of Tomorrow is
That's
coming.
5. So it's they're not doing, that's not shabby land for DC in the television side. Movie side, they got Man of Steel, that's it. And Marvel has how many movies now? I can't even,
13?
12,
Yeah.
13.
But also, it's such a smaller market that and Netflix is huge, but it's such a smaller market of people that are going to be aware that Daredevil Season 2 is coming out, then Batman versus Superman is coming out. So the movie's going to clean up. It's going to do over $200 million opening weekend.
Yeah,
I think it's a given.
People are going to watch 5 episodes of Daredevil, see Batman v Superman, come home, watch the rest of Daredevil.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of
exactly
how
it.
that's the
It's
way
like,
to
hey,
do
we're
it.
going to go see Batman vs. Superman tonight. So first I'm going to sit down and watch 2 or 3 episodes of Daredevil, run over, see Batman v Superman, come back. So ultimately, and again, I don't even think this is true or real, but if it was, I don't think it's going to see it affect things very much.
Wouldn't it be cool if it was true? Because then we get to watch both of those
on the same weekend.
That's
Pretty
pretty
sweet.
awesome.
That would be a gone weekend. They must write off that whole weekend.
You could get a machine at any gym in the country. Nobody's going to be there.
All right, folks, we're listening to this Tuesday, which means it's time for us to talk about what is opening this week, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theatres. There are 2 films coming out here, but Ashley, why don't you tell us about them?
All right. Well, one film goes from limited release to wide release, and another brand new film will hit theaters this week. Today, we're talking about the new film, The Forest. When her twin sister disappears in Japan, a young American named Sarah, played by Game of Thrones Natalie Dormer, becomes
My
determined
invisibility isn't working. Damn it.
to find out what happened to her. Sarah's investigation leads her to the legendary Aokigahara Forest, located at the base of Mount Fuji. Accompanied by expatriate Aiden, she enters the mysterious wilderness after being warned to stay on the path. Her investigation plunges her into a dark world where the angry and tormented souls of the dead prey on those who dare to explore the forest. Mark, should people be looking forward to The Forest?
I mean, I think so, just from those 2 images and Ashley's description. I haven't even seen a trailer for this movie yet, and that's on purpose because I'm seeing it tonight, and it's kind of fun to walk into a movie knowing virtually nothing. It sounds intriguing to me. I know it's not the best release date in the world. First weekend in January usually doesn't rhyme with Oscars, but it's something it's a premise that I like. It sounds scary. It sounds like it could creep me out. And for God's sake, if somebody in a movie tells you to stay on the woods or stay out of the woods, you just don't go in the forest. You just don't go.
I'm looking forward to it. I've been intrigued by the premise. I'm going to say, though, I wasn't impressed by the trailer. The trailer, I didn't think it was awful garbage trailer, but I didn't think it was all that good. But still, the premise is intriguing. And I have been waiting for Natalie Dormer to get a break, to lead something big on her own. She's been a supporting character in so many huge things and always crushes it when she is. This is an intriguing one to really see her in a big feature film, wide release that she's leading. This is an interesting one for that. But still, the premise, her leading it, it seems interesting enough to me, despite the fact that the trailer didn't do all that much to increase my excitement. So I am looking forward to it. I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah, I think she's a great actress. I think this movie looks like a giant steaming dump. I mean, seriously, I'm not going to see it. If it was called The Trees, I might go see it. That's all I can, That's all I have to add
By
about
M. Night
that.
Shyamalan.
Yeah, that's right. The Trees Whisper or something. Maybe they added The Forest is Alive. Then I might go see it because it would sound even dumber. So,
so it's dumb, but it's not dumb enough.
it's not dumb enough for me to actually care about this movie. Even though she's a really talented actress, I think that this is one of those, like, it's an in-between job for her. Like, yeah, I'll do The Forest, you know?
All right, folks. Well, listen, it's that time of the show now for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can just email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com. Now, for those of you watching us live, we're going to save a little bit of time at the end of the show to take some of your live Twitter questions. We do this show live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Los Angeles time. That's 2 p.m. New York time. So if you're on Twitter right now, tweet on in some questions to at Collider Video. That's our Twitter handle. Send on him some questions, and Ashley will pick a few at the end. But for now, let's get to the mailbag. So, Ashley, what's in the mailbag today?
Thomas Angelo writes, "Hello, Movie Talk crew. Love the show. My question is, after all the records Star Wars broke, do you think every big blockbuster will be unfairly compared to Star Wars numbers? Thanks."
Yeah, this is really an unfortunate thing amongst the film fan community. It's whether it's comparing it to money or comparing it to quality. Like, for instance, Ant-Man comes out, right? And a lot of people's first questions aren't, hey, is Ant-Man good? A lot of the first questions I got on Twitter after I'd seen Ant-Man was, hey, is it better than Winter Soldier? Like, everybody wants to, is it bigger or better than the thing before? It's like, why is that the issue? Why is that the standard? Why not just ask how good the movie is on its own? So, like, Batman v Superman comes out. I got into a little bit of a Twitter scuffle with a celebrity friend of mine on Twitter who was like, you know, now there's just no excuse for Batman v Superman not to make $300 million on opening weekend. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, well, Star Wars, why are you comparing it to what Star Wars does? That is not, at the end of the day, when you're counting all the money in your bank account, it's not like you go, oh, it didn't make as much money as that movie? Oh, we take away $100 million then. It's irrelevant. And I do think that there are going to be some people that when either Batman v Superman comes out or Captain America Civil War or even Rogue One, for that matter, I think a lot of people are just going to be like, oh, well, if it didn't do as good as Star Wars, then it's a failure. If it didn't break that opening weekend box office record, and then it's a disappointment. It's like, no, it's not. It is absolutely not. Look, Batman v Superman is going to do just fine. Captain America Civil War is going to do just fine. And guess what? Neither one of them are going to break Star Wars' opening weekend box office numbers. They're just not. But they're going to be big, and they're going to be great, and they're going to make the studios tons of money. And then the question should be, are they good? And then when it is good, when we see Batman vs. Superman and it's good, let's not go, yeah, but was this as good as The Dark Knight? Well, who cares if it's as good as Dark Knight? Is it good? Let's just judge the movies on their own merits. Let's judge if you want to look at how they do financially and business-wise and how well that audiences respond to it, then let's judge them on their own merits and not what a previous movie did. Anyway, Schnepp, how do you see all this? How would you figure this out?
Well, we all know that a movie is based on how much money it makes. That's how you can tell the quality of the film is like by how much money it makes. If it makes $1 billion, obviously, it's one of the greatest films of all time and can't begin to compare to something that only made $100 million. We all know that to be fact. But getting back to the real world of functioning brains, let's talk about doesn't matter how much a movie makes. It depends really on if you like that kind of a film, if you go and see the film and you enjoyed it. That's really what a movie's about. It's like the quality level. When you have critics and you put them all together, you can judge by Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, the movie got a 67% fresh critic rating, but the audience has all said, 92% of the audiences. So it might be somewhere in the middle. It depends on who you are and what you like. So some people hate Star Wars but love superhero films. It's very rare. But some people love Star Wars and don't like superhero films. It's the opposite. It's like it doesn't matter. It's like how much money a movie makes. I heard the same thing with Ant-Man. It was like, oh, it didn't make as much. It must not be as good. I mean, it's ridiculous that this comparison every week. I mean, we do it because it's like, it's just the business. That's what we're talking about. Like why, a movie made this much this opening weekend. It's part of the business. It has nothing to do with the ranking of how good a film is. So
I mean, in our utopian community right now, and it's great to say you can't compare art, that everything should stand on its own merit, but it's a competitive society out there, and so naturally when you're given one number to look at and you stack it up next to another number, particularly with movies that are huge, it's like, yeah, we're going to compare them. It might be unfair. I think it's less unfair to compare Batman v Superman to something like Civil War, which is a movie. Those are two movies that have a crap ton of superheroes in them, and they're fighting each other. that's something that you can make a pretty fair comparison to. But even that, there's going to be things where it's like, well, we only got Man of Steel, whereas we have all these other Marvel movies that have given Civil War a head start. But, Batman fighting Superman sounds more intriguing than Civil War, but it doesn't matter. It's going to do a lot of money opening weekend, and I don't think it's going to break Star Wars' record. And everybody has to remember, if you want to compare the numbers, that's fine. Star Wars was something that nobody knew could ever happen again. And when it did, everything was right. The stars aligned perfectly to let that movie come out and be the box office champ, at least for opening weekend, and a number of other records. So Batman v Superman isn't going to have that luxury, doesn't have the time to build up to all that stuff. It's going to have great hype. It's going to have a lot of build up. You're just not going to have enough to be able to break an all-time record that might stand even through other Star Wars movies coming out. I don't know that Rogue One is going to touch it. I don't know that Episode 8 is going to touch the box office weekend record that Star Wars has already set. I don't know if it can happen.
And a lot of people will ask me sometimes, they'll say, hey, John, you say that the box office is not an indicator of whether a movie's good or not, then why do you even talk about box office? Why is box office important to you? The box office is still important because what it tells us is it tells us what was the audience interested in? What were moviegoers interested in? And then if a movie does well or doesn't do well, then we can sit back and we analyze, okay, then let's look at the marketing campaign. Then what worked with that marketing campaign? Did it not work? What trends was it capitalizing on that the audiences are looking for? What are the things that the audiences responded to, either in the marketing or in the concept or in the actors who were in it? I believe the box office numbers are very important. They tell us a lot, and there's a lot there to discuss and figure out about the movie business. But what it does not indicate is how good or bad the movie is. Transformers, the most recent Transformers, made $1.1 billion. So that is not an indication that it was great. But then again, Avatar made $2.7 billion, basically largely based off the fact that a lot of people did go back and see it 2 or 3 times. I know a lot of people went to see Titanic 3 or 4 or 5 times. So sometimes that can be an indication. It all depends. But yeah, just because we talk about box office numbers and they do have big importance and they give us a lot of insight into the relationship between studios and the audience. That doesn't mean there's a direct correlation, though, between the quality of a film and how much money it makes or how little it makes. A lot of times, the films that win Best Picture at the Oscars are films that made like $10 million in the box office that year, and yet they were the best films of the year. So it's a very complicated web.
You made a great point, though, where it doesn't have to be the best movie ever, and it doesn't have to break any all-time box office record, but it does have to be very good as a movie in quality terms, and it has to do very good business. Yeah. You can't have a Batman v Superman come out and be a bomb simply because you're not going to get many more of them if that happens. If the movie comes out and it makes $3 million opening weekend, but I love it, great, I'm happy, but I'm really bummed because we probably won't see him again.
If you're Warner Brothers in DC, this is going back to your point about they have to make this good and and it has to do well. Because here's the thing, for Warner Brothers, you get one shot at Batman v Superman. You are pulling, you've decided, and by the way, I believe DC is taking the right approach with their cinematic universe. I've said all along, I don't think the right approach for DC would be to mimic Marvel. Don't make 8 single standalone movies with different characters and then Justice League. For them, do the reverse. Launch with everything put together. But here's the thing. Your biggest bullet in your chamber is Batman versus Superman. That's the biggest bullet you got, and you've decided to pull it out in the early rounds. That means you have to knock it out of the park now. You have to knock it out of the park. Because if you swing and miss with Batman v Superman, the future is bleak for DC Cinematic Universe films. But if you knock it out of the park, suddenly a Wonder Woman standalone movie looks all the more promising. An Aquaman standalone movie looks all the more promising because you made that strategy, come out swinging with Batman versus Superman, and you crushed it, then you're going to kill. You're going to absolutely kill.
Gotta crush it.
Yep. All right, what's next?
Sneha P. writes, my question is whether Colin Firth could get nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Kingsman. I kind of know that he won't get a nomination, but I think he should. He was so believable as a badass who kills an entire church to the song Freebird.
Look, he was awesome in that. He was absolutely awesome in that. But will he get nominated for Best Supporting Actor for his role in that? I'm going to say no, he won't, for 2 reasons. One, and this is the smaller reason, it's not generally the kind of film that you would get a Best Supporting Actor nomination coming from. Then again, Heath Ledger just won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in a comic book film, so there you go. But the bigger reason is this, and I know this will be unpopular, I understand that, but he doesn't deserve it. He was great in it. He was great. But when I look down the lists of some of the top contenders right now for Best Supporting Actor for this year, They're all just better. They all just brought a little bit better. Colin Firth is a magnificent actor. He has a Best Actor Academy Award sitting on his mantle. He's just that good, and he was wonderful in this film. But I don't know that I'd put him in my... I know for sure I wouldn't put him in my top 5 this year. Maybe I would sneak him into number 10, but he doesn't get in the top 9 for me, especially when we run down the list of all the other guys who were nominated this year. So I'd say his chances... And when you consider the fact that all these other critic organizations and the Golden Globes and the Broadcast Film Critics Society all putting out their nominee lists, Colin Firth ain't anywhere on any of them. So the chances of us seeing Colin Firth get nominated for an Academy Award this year for Best Supporting Actor for Kingsman, nil. Absolutely. I don't know, Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But I could watch that scene of him killing all those people in a church with Freebird playing forever.
That was such a great one of the best scenes of the year.
It's such a fun scene. I don't know if I would describe it as believable. It's a really well choreographed action scene that takes a whole bunch of people, stunt people, and all this really well done scene, very well put together. Made me not hate the song Freebird, which I thought was impossible.
What?
I know, right?
You didn't like Freebird already?
I'm sorry.
What in God's name is wrong with you, boy?
We can't talk anymore.
Oh my God! It's some of the best 9 minutes
Hang on
and 42 seconds.
I got a call coming in from Conj Club. What? What is that?
Personally, I really like Freebird. I like Freebird.
Freebird is back.
Skinner kicks ass, man. I've seen him 7 times live.
Anyway, enough about this Freebird stuff. Yeah, no Oscar.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, getting back to the original question, you should see Leonard Skinner in concert. I don't think he's getting nominated this year, but he was great, and it's just not that style of movie. There's a lot of other great performances that you see in more Oscar contender kind of fare. So, sorry.
Now remember, there's going to be 5 nominees this year, right? That means he's got to be in the top 5. So, do you put him above Idris Elba from Beasts of No Nation this year? Nope. I don't think so. Do you put him above Michael Keaton in Spotlight this year? No. Do you put him above Christian Bale in The Big Short this year? No. Do you put him in front of Sylvester Stallone for his performance in Creed? No. Do you put him in front of Mark Ruffalo for Spotlight? No. Do you put him in front of Michael Shannon from 99 Homes? No. Do you put him in front of Paul Dano for Love and Mercy? No. So it's just one of those things. This is why the Oscars are so special. You can't just be great. You got to be in the top 5 great that year and really hope that nobody else came along and gave the performance of their lifetime that year. And as good as Colin Firth was in The Kingsman, he ain't top 8, let alone top 5 this year. So
I think he could crush Christian Bale from The Big Short. I think he can get up on top of that. I think he'd do that.
Christian Bale, The Big Short, he was more jacked than they wanted you to know.
Yeah, but then you got like Joel Edgerton in Black Mass.
Yeah.
You got Goggins from The Hateful Eight. You've
Joel
got
Edgerton from The Gift. He's better.
so
I thought
like
Mark Rylance from Bridge of Spies.
Mark Rylance from Bridge of Spies was probably going to be one of the top 3 favorites actually. So there's just too big of a list. All right, what's next?
Matt Smith writes, so quick question. What's the deal with the Tom Hardy Splinter Cell movie? I thought it was greenlit, then I heard nothing more. Do you guys know any information? And if the new Assassin's Creed movie is good, do you think that will help this film kick into gear? Thanks and keep up the great work from your biggest fan.
Well, to the last part of your question, we've been saying for a long time, the entire genre of video game movies right now is hinging on 2 very important films coming out, Warcraft and Assassin's Creed. And we've said for a long time, if both of these films can come along and be really good, make some money at the box office, and critically at least go over well, they don't have to be like top 15 movies of the year. No, but as long as they go over well, the audiences respond, they make some money, you are going to see a huge resurgence, and you're like Splinter Cell amongst 50 other films are going to be like fast-tracked. I absolutely guarantee it. Now, as far as where is the status of Tom Hardy with this film right now, not much. There's been little to no movement on it at all. As a matter of fact, if you go to Tom Hardy's IMDb page, which is not gospel, by the way, it is listed as something that's in development, but it's not even listed on his actor filmography. Because, they'll even put the films that they have, in pre-production or whatever. It's not even on his filmography right now. So it's still something that I think that is on the books, but I don't think there's been any movement. And your question might be very accurate. They might be sitting back and waiting to see what happens with Warcraft and Assassin's Creed. They might be waiting for that and see what happens there. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Mark, how do you see it?
The last that I had heard of any news on it was at Comic-Con when they were talking about how it seemed like Doug Liman was attached to direct it, and then they wanted Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy was interested in working with Doug Liman on this project, and they had a bunch of writers that were taking a pass at it. I think they already had 2 writers that had done scripts and done treatments. Then they had another guy that they wanted to come in and polish that up. So it seemed like they were keen on taking their time with this, partially because they want a great script and they want to do it right, and also, I agree with John, they want to see how Warcraft and how Assassin's Creed, and most importantly, how Ratchet and Clank does. Is it Clank or Crank? Is it Crank?
I
Clank,
think it's
I think.
Clank.
I think it's Ratchet and Clank. I don't know. I screwed up Rocco. He's not a dog. He's a wallaby. I apologize to everybody who I may have insulted yesterday.
He wears a shirt, though, goddammit.
He does
right?
wear a Hawaiian shirt.
He didn't screw up that bad. Splinter Cell? What's to say? So here's how things work. When you get a green light, that doesn't mean it's an automatic movie. That just means you have a green light to move forward into development hell. And that's what this movie is in now. It's called development hell. When you have a green light, you get a couple of scripts, you attach a couple of actors, you start playing with some directors. Hey, well, what are you doing in the next 3-4 years of your life? And that's what happens for year after year after year. I think Splinter Cell has been in some form of development for almost 2.5 years now. It's like since they said, oh, it's going to become a movie like 3 or 4 years ago. Then they got Tom Hardy attached 2.5 years ago. So here we are 2.5 years later. Nothing has happened. And nothing will happen, I guarantee you, for all of 2016. Because, yeah, they're going to wait for Warcraft. They're going to wait for Assassin's Creed. I mean, Tom Hardy's going to be shooting the next Mad Max before he shoots Splinter Cell, believe me. So, believe me, I'm bummed out. Splinter Cell is my game. I played every single version of it from beginning to end. I think it's a great game. Could it be a great film? I think so, yes. When will they get it together to just make the film and not worry about the other films and just treat it like, how can we make this a great film instead of looking at it as a video game movie? That's my only concern when people are looking to Warcraft or Assassin's Creed to hopefully this will usher in video game movies. It's like, well, no, you should just try to make a great story out of any video game that you're adapting and not worry about these other films. Because believe me, Assassin's Creed could suck. It really could. I mean,
Absolutely could.
It could, I think Michael Fassbender is an incredible actor. I didn't like Macbeth, and I found mainly the reason I didn't like it is because the director didn't understand Shakespeare. He didn't understand how to direct the story. So I don't know. I mean, Assassin's Creed can be a completely different story. It's time jumping and this and that.
It's also going up against Rogue One though too. So if you're a studio and you're looking at receipts and we want to make sure this video game movies do well at the box office, that's a tough movie to go up against.
Yeah, it's we'll see what happens, but maybe it's going to be I'd love to see an incredible Assassin's Creed, but Splinter Cell's a way off.
All right, what's next?
Last Twitter question comes from Gilbert Rodriguez.
Email
and
question.
he writes, hey, Collider Crew, have you guys heard any news about another Rush Hour film? And if so, do you think it will make money at the box office?
A couple of months ago, TMZ saw Jackie Chan walking down the street, and he said, somebody asked, are you doing another Rush Hour movie? He goes, yeah. And then apparently he was going to go meet with Chris Tucker. And that's the last we ever heard it. Nothing's ever come of it since. I don't think, I mean, it's possible. It is possible that we could see a Rush Hour 4. But I don't see the point. Rush Hour wasn't very good. Rush Hour 3 was terrible. Rush Hour 2, though. Rush Hour 2 is one of those rare films you can go where you go, the sequel was actually a lot better than the original. I thought Rush Hour 2 was really good and really funny. 3 was garbage. But even then, we talk a lot about trajectory, right? In a franchise, producers want to see money return doing this. But what happened is we saw this. Rush Hour 2 made like $350 million worldwide. Rush Hour 3, which came out like 6 years later, made like almost like 40% less. It made like $200 and something million. So its trajectory was this. It wasn't well received by critics or fans. And so there's no reason to expect anything that if you did do a Rush Hour 4 right now, there's no reason not to expect that you'd make even less. So it's possible. It's absolutely possible. I would just be really surprised. And no, I don't think it would make much money.
I think for better or for worse, its hopes are actually going to be tied to a TV show because I believe there's a Rush Hour television series in development. I think it's at CBS or something like that. And they wanted it to be sometime in 2016. So it's just a matter of if that show comes out and it's good. It's not going to have Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. It's going to be probably a similar pairing, and then they'll go fight adventures and have some laughs. And if it does well, maybe you get to see it come back to the big screen. I would love to see Chris Tucker do more stuff again. The guy's a hysterical comic, and he was great in Silver Linings Playbook. I want him to be in more movies. Jackie Chan is always a welcome presence in my eyes on TV, or in the movie. So I'd love to see something with those guys. It doesn't necessarily even have to be Rush Hour.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. You're right. I mean, I know a few people who are in Rush Hour, the TV series. once it's a good TV series, they're not going to make a Rush Hour 4. So I think it's out.
But if that TV series opens the same night as Batman v Superman, will that take any money away?
Time vortex.
All right, folks. Well, I said we'd take a little bit of time to take some of your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. Once again, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video and send on in some Twitter questions right now. Ashley, what have you picked out?
All right, first question we talked a little bit about in our pre-production meeting. Alex Martins writes, "Hey guys, what did you think of Deadpool's TV spot during The Bachelor last night, and will it make first weekend?"
Okay, I have not seen this spot yet. I have not seen it. Ashley has.
Yes,
Because rumor has it, Ashley watches The Bachelor.
Rumor, it's just a rumor.
Tell us about this spot.
First of all, genius marketing once again with Deadpool. It's blowing my mind how amazing this marketing is. You see Deadpool on a couch with a rose, because the rose is kind of like a signature of The Bachelor. All the contestants that pass on to the next round get a rose. I can't believe I'm explaining The Bachelor on this show right now. And then we got to see like a trailer of the movie, and we see Ryan Reynolds with his shirt off. Have we seen that before?
Never.
Okay, and they showed
this
it
movie.
during this trailer.
Was he wearing the mask though?
No, I
Okay,
think he
just
took it
Ryan
off.
Reynolds. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
appealing to the ladies, of course. And then the trailer ends, and then you see him like put a bunch of roses in his face, and he's like, "Smells good" or something like that. Super clever. And he said, "All you girls are listening to your boyfriends talk about wanting to see this superhero movie. Well, check this out." And
And then it shows him
and then
shirtless.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah.
How have I
Genius
not seen
marketing.
this spot yet?
It's on YouTube. I saw it this
Yeah.
morning. It's really funny. And he says something about like, ladies, guys, Deadpool, Valentine's Day. Come on. It's like, he's basically saying, look, this is a movie about love. He's like, sure. It's
Yes,
about
he said it's a movie
relationships.
about
Oh, he's like
relationships.
playing around with the roses. And they just cut
Yes.
to all these lovey-dovey scenes. So it's another hilarious, great marketing tool for the Deadpool
Totally.
movies.
I love how Deadpool has just become like that wacky neighbor that lives down the street, or he's just the guy that you need to have at your party if you want it to be a rager. Like he's fun. He adds fun to whatever he does. It's a stroke of marketing genius.
This is brilliant, because you would not expect, like, Captain America Winter Soldier did not buy ads in what would be a traditionally like Pretty Little Liars. It probably did not buy ads in front of Pretty Little Liars or other traditional female-centric shows. Like, what are some other TV shows you watch, Ashley, that you would consider to be like,
everything
female-centric?
garbage. I love garbage television. Like what? The Real Housewives. But I also love, all those murderer shows like The
Oh, yes.
Following.
Yesterday, your big quote of the day was "You love murder."
I know,
Yes.
Making a Murderer, guys. I mean, come on.
So to put advertising like this in front of what you would think is not, like, we've heard of counter programming, right?
Yeah.
This is counter demographic marketing,
Yeah.
which you'd think is insane to do, but it looks like Deadpool's doing it, and doing it like completely right, like they have with all of their marketing so far.
It's also lucky that Deadpool is not played by Jonah Hill and by Ryan Reynolds.
I know. Definitely lucky.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next Twitter
All right.
question?
Chloe's Full writes, "What is the process of becoming a film critic?"
I mean, it's different roads, man. I mean, because like for me, and I don't even consider myself a proper film critic, but like for me, it was just, I started a blog in 2003 called The Movie Blog. I happened to get the domain name because this was early in the day. Most people had never even heard of blogs, and I just started writing about movies. And the process for me was just that a lot of people started reading. I mean, I got it up to about 1 million readers a month, and then I got hired by AMC, and I started running everything there, and so it just kind of happened. So, I mean, I don't really know I don't know that there is any one path to becoming a film critic per se. Look, if you have a blog and you write, you're a film pundit. I mean, whatever. I personally, and I don't even know if this is correct, but I have a line in my head that divides just film pundits from film critics. And when I think of film critics, like proper film critics, like I think of guys like with journalism degrees and film degrees, and have sculpted their craft and their art, and are heavy into research, and they know the history of Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. And then there are schlubs like me who I'm just a big film fan my whole life. I just watch a ridiculous amount of movies, and I like to talk about it. I'm pretty good at communicating. But there's a difference between me, film pundits, and like, say, a Roger Ebert. And I believe there is a place for both in this world. But how one goes about becoming a film critic, your mileage may vary. Mark, how did you become the first YouTube film critic what's the word I'm looking for? Accredited.
Thank you.
With like Rotten Tomatoes and like all these other associations. How did that happen?
You know, John, when I think of a film critic, I think of a green hoodie, empty Starbucks cup, and a guy who loves some kick-ass Lynyrd Skynyrd music. Christian and I as Schmoes took a very kind of roundabout way because that was never like the sole intention. We just wanted to do a YouTube show that entertained people. So when you take the YouTube route to film criticism, it might be easier now, I'm not sure, but eventually you can become accredited as a film critic if you do video reviews. We were the first ones to be such on Rotten Tomatoes, and then we got certified and accredited by the MPAA. So we do have some degree of legitimacy to what we do. I still consider myself a film pundit and a very disrespected film critic, but I'll take it either way. Whatever gives me the platform to talk about movies with you guys instead of working at a bank, I will sign up.
Schnepp.
Well, for myself, I came on as a guest on For Your Consideration, AMC For Your Consideration, and I enjoyed it so much just because I've always talked about films with my friends, but I've been directing cartoon shows for years. It became a thing. So they kept asking me to come back, and I just started, I don't really review films. So, I talk about movies, and I'll write my mini reviews on Instagram. So I don't really consider myself a film critic or pundit. I don't know, but I love talking about films. I love films. I studied film in college, and I make films. So when I talk about films, sometimes it's a little difficult because, especially if you know the person that you're talking about their film, that's the weird line sometimes. Yeah. That gets a little harder the more I do this thing and the more I still do my other thing, which is making films and television, that you know the people who are either making amazing stuff or who are making garbage, and you don't want to tell somebody like, hey, your film sucked. You don't want to, hey, you still want to hang out tomorrow? Nope, that's not, so, that's the one weird thing for me. But, if you want to become a film critic or a film pundit or just talk about movies or television, just do it. We live in that time where you can just get on YouTube, use your iPhone, film yourself, throw it up, bam, you're a film critic. How many people care about what you say? That depends on what you actually say and how much perseverance you're going to have. Are you going to do it for 3 years, gain a following, and then within 3 years, if you only have 50 people watching you, keep your day job? It's like there's that kind of thing too. So,
all right, what's next?
Scott Kluna writes, was wondering if there's been any news on the making of 23 Jump Street.
No, I haven't really heard anything else. I know they want to do it. I know they plan to do it. It'll happen. It'll absolutely happen, whether it happen in 2017 or 2018. I got a feeling it'll happen in 2017 or 2018. One of the two.
Yeah, and if you just want to revisit it quickly and just have a good laugh, watch the end credits of 22 Jump Street. It's just hysterical.
So good.
Right. I hope they do just jump to 29 Jump Street.
That would be hilarious.
If
they just jump one or two numbers.
Yeah, just jump a couple, and then are you going to go back and do a prequel, or then it becomes super
25
weird.
Jump Street has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Jordan Anderson writes, favorite comedy of 2015.
Oh, gosh. I first have to look up a list of comedies.
I don't recall giggling this year as much as I had in previous years at comedies. The answer is definitely not Hot Pursuit. I can tell you that much.
Well, Trainwreck.
Yeah, Trainwreck. And I thought The Night Before I laughed a lot.
Trainwreck was good.
Spy.
Yeah.
Pitch Perfect 2 was not as good as the first Pitch Perfect, but wasn't bad. The Night Before was really funny. Mordecai was not. Get Hard was not. No. American Ultra was not. Hot Tub Time Machine was not.
Horrible.
I laughed at. You know what I'm going to take though? I'm still going to take
moments.
I'm going to take Ted 2 because Ted 2. It's not the best film. It's not as good of a movie as the first Ted, but it just made me laugh so hard. I could not resist it.
It has moments. Ted 2 has moments that I thought. Here's the thing about Ted and Ted 2. Ted, I thought, was the better and the funnier movie. But there are moments in Ted 2 that I laughed harder than I did in any moments of Ted 1. Like the sperm joke was so freakingly well.
As they usually are.
Yeah, it was so well executed in the whole bit. So, not a great... Spy is one that a lot of us enjoyed.
I'd give Spy and The Night Before the honorable mention and give Ted 2 the crown.
Yeah, but it's not a good year for comedies. Like it's like we're listing as our best comedies of the year, comedies that were pretty good. But nothing like I'm going to be thinking about 5 years from now.
Yeah, a lot of stuff just fell flat. Wedding Ringer fell flat. There was a lot of stuff that came out this last year that was just meh.
But we can get a little excited for comedy in 2016 because, you have the huge summer with Ghostbusters, right? And then you're going to have the new Richard Linklater movie, Everybody Wants Some. That could be really funny. So there's potential in 2016. We'll wait to see if it comes to fruit.
All right, what's next?
Justin Square writes, who will get an Oscar first, Leonardo DiCaprio or Will Smith?
Leo DiCaprio. Leo DiCaprio, because Will Smith is capable of winning an Oscar. He's got it in him to win one, I think. Now, whether he will or not is a big question. Leonardo DiCaprio, it's inevitable he's going to win one. Look, he gets nominated every year he acts in something because he's that good. Now, whether he's the best that year or not, look, you got a 1 in 5 shot. Like pick up and so think of it in terms of 1 in 6. Pick up 6-sided dice and your number is 2. Roll it. If it doesn't come up 2, you lose. And so, but you do it enough, you roll that dice enough, eventually you're going to hit 2. If he continues to keep acting at the pace that he acts, and he continues to act at the level that he acts at that high of quality, he's going to get nominated every year. You get nominated every year, it is inevitable he's eventually going to win one. Some year will be his year. I don't even think that this year is his year. I predicted at the beginning of this year that this was going to be the year of Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't think he's going to win it this year, but for him it's inevitable. So I got to say Leo will win one first.
John, tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
I'm going to go Leo because he is going to win this year for The Revenant because I called it way back in 1991. I sipped a Crystal Pepsi, watched the Redskins win the Super Bowl, and said that kid from Growing Pains is going to win for The Revenant in 2015. Sticking to it.
Yeah, he's not going to win. He's going to get nominated. I think I didn't like The Revenant as much as I wanted to, but I thought Leo's acting in it was incredible, but not enough to win the Oscar this year. I think Fassbender is probably going to take it for Jobs, even though Jobs also is not as great of a film as I wanted it to be.
But his performance was just
incredible.
Like stupid
so
good.
That's what's always sometimes confusing in the Oscars, with supporting actors and actors. People get nominated and win for a movie that might not be the best film of the year. The actors and supporting actors, rose above the material. So,
all right, last question of the day.
Ooh, okay. Sean Lallen writes, how do you know when a movie needs a remake?
I don't think any movie needs a remake, and I don't think there's any movie that mustn't be remade. Honestly, I just think, look, if you think there's a story out there and you think you can tell it now in a relevant, entertaining, meaningful way that could be successful, then remake it. And if not, then don't. So, yeah, that's just kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's sort of like also, or you can do the wait 20 years and make a new version of an old film that's it's 2 generations out, so it could be remade and no one will really notice.
I think some movies definitely need to be remade. And they're movies with huge fan bases that really felt jilted or gypped by the movie that just came out. So when you look at like Ang Lee's Hulk or Daredevil, say whatever you want about those movies, but largely the fan bases were really disappointed in characters that you could have made multiple movies building off a strong foundation. So they went back and made the Incredible Hulk, and then he can join in the MCU. And now we have Daredevil on Netflix, which could kind of count as a rebooting of that franchise. So I think it's totally necessary. If it's something that's more standalone, like we just made a movie and it didn't work, like nobody needs to remake Ishtar because not a lot of people were like, oh man, I'm a huge Ishtar fan since I was a kid. Like that was just a movie that came out.
And people were like, what is Ishtar?
Previous lore, right? Or video game movies. It's like, Mortal Kombat doesn't need one, but Mortal Kombat Annihilation should definitely get a remake.
Well, Superman Returns is a perfect example of something that came out, they spent a lot of money, it made money at the box office, but didn't hit it the way they wanted it to. So literally 6 years later, Man of Steel came out. That worked, and then that's the movie that they're basing their brand new, springboard off of everything. So.
All right, folks, that'll do it for us for this installment of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing at our friends over at AMC Theatres right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater, showtime, and, of course, your movie ticket information. And you should be subscribing to our YouTube channel. Just click the subscribe button. It'll keep you up to date on everything we do over here at Collider Video. We've got a lot of great stuff going on and a lot of great new things coming down the pipe as well. And make sure you bookmark Collider.com. We got a great team of writers over there writing the website Collider.com, keeping you up to date. As a matter of fact, today on our YouTube channel, I'm going to be introducing a bunch of you guys to some of our Collider.com writers who put together a little video of their favorite films of 2015. It's going to be a great way for you to get to meet and get introduced to some of our Collider.com writers. So make sure you check out that video when it goes up a little bit later today. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me, of course, sitting over here on my left, the Freebird-hating Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
Leonard Skinner, come at me, son. I love Leonard Skinner.
Most of them aren't going to come at you.
I know. Don't
around.
come at me because I love Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram just at Jon Schnepp, and you can find my film, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, at TDOSLWH.com. Support independent film, yo. Leonard Skinner, Freebird, son. Freebird.
Over here, apparently setting all fashion trends for Ashley Mova, Mr. Mark Ellis. Mark, where can people find you online?
John, it's going to be a little difficult to find me online today, and I'll tell you why. I did something crazy with my spiritual counselor, Ashley. I changed my Twitter handle yesterday.
All thanks to me, by the way.
I forgot to let our
You
tech
changed
team
your
know.
Twitter handle?
Changed the Twitter handle. 5150 Ellis has been retired in place of Mark
But
Ellis
it says
Live.
right there,
John,
at 5150
everybody at home,
Ellis.
get out your pen and your paper, write this down, put it on the fridge. It's Mark Ellis Live. That's what my website is. That's what my Instagram is. That's what my Twitter is. Now everybody lives under the same roof. What's
But it
that
says,
word?
Why don't you
it
love-
says 5150 on the bottom
No,
of
you
it. I
guys don't understand it. It
what's
used to
happening.
be that, and then they just didn't change it yet. So they didn't get the memo yet.
Yeah.
So
So
now
you
it's
hate
Mark
Van
This is
Halen
the
now.
reveal.
So this is not. You know why? I
Now
honestly
you hate
did
Van
it?
Halen.
It was for no other reason. I was driving around. And I was thinking, man, Wolfie Van Halen, now the bass player in Van Halen, he goes to the Comedy Store a lot, and I'd love to like hang out with him, but I can't really do that if my Twitter handle is 5150 Ellis. He's just gonna
Right.
think I'm some crazy fan, and I'm not. I'm a legitimate adult who pays most of his bills semi on time, and I want him to know that. So it's now Mark Ellis.
The fact that
Live.
you told me the same story yesterday and that's how you truly feel really blows my mind.
I'm gonna be best friends with everybody in Van Halen at some point. It's just taking longer than I thought.
All right. Well strategically thought out, Mark. And sitting over there, our lovely host today, setting the trends for all females watching television everywhere, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find
on
you?
Twitter and on Instagram at Ashley Mova. Happy Tuesday, guys.
Look at
forgot
that
to-
shirt. That shirt is
I know,
amazing.
right?
I
Watch
just noticed
out.
it actually has spikes in it.
I know,
Like,
it's spiky.
It's like Road Warrior meets.
Duran Duran.
Yes. Okay, but I forgot to ask you,
Yeah.
because of that, the ads on The Bachelor,
Yeah.
are you more likely now to see Deadpool?
I was already going to see
mean,
it
you
anyway.
were
I love
in,
the dirty
but-
humor. You guys know me. I love the
Oh,
dirty
yeah.
humor. So
That's
I was
true.
already in.
And of course, you guys can make sure you're following me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just following me at Jon Campea. Thank you to Ray and Dennis and Wendy and Jonathan behind the scenes. And thank you to you guys for joining us. Jump in the comment section. Leave your thoughts on any or all of the topics we discuss here today. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. And until tomorrow, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.